What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another Beta Memoirs. And the day indeed, Chop Fest. I know it is stressful. I know it is a lot. You have to understand there's a lot of different policy changes. There's just a lot going on. Inflation, I think, will plague us a lot longer than I think it would. I think we'll eventually get to a point where we have pumps, we have dumps throughout the year, a lot of chop, I think, going on eventually until it kind of works itself out. Ultimately, I think even with Kathy Woods and her theory on what is going on with the market as far as deflation, it really depends on how the companies start innovating. We are seeing a lot of companies make good earnings. A lot of companies are crushing it. But again, inflation and everything and uncertainty is ultimately what is stirring the market at the moment. Whenever there is uncertainty in the market, then you will see dramatic selling. Fear definitely hits the markets. So that's something to keep in mind right now. We are going through a lot. Just be mindful of that. Sometimes, again, it's better just to sit on your hands and wait for things to pass. At this point on the daily, a lot of things look really bad. We are going into Friday. There wasn't a lot of volume on a lot of different things too, so that's something else to keep in mind. You need volume. You need a lot of players in the game essentially to change hands, buying and selling. Obviously, this is how the stock market works for stuff to get moving. And considering what is going on, people are fearful. Did see some moves in the value stocks today. There were some that pumped quite well. Apple and Facebook started leading this morning, which is good to see, which is something I've been talking about. Essentially, some of our lead indicators since March, since this whole inflation thing started talking and getting brought up, Apple and Facebook have kind of been leading tech. Tesla and second tier tech have been struggling. And then when it's time, they typically catch up when Facebook and Apple do stall. But again, banks typically do well in inflation times. And you can see that with Goldman Sachs and JPM as well. So being said, let's go ahead and throw up the charts here. Again, tomorrow is Friday. Friday rotation, I don't really talk about Take Profit Friday, but the past couple of Fridays have been more pump Fridays nonetheless. So we really have to see how we open up tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think, is really critical to where the market's at. On the daily, a lot of stuff is looking pretty bad, to be honest. But this is my watch list for tomorrow. Again, I'm keeping lead industry leaders here for growth, essentially, so we can kind of gauge where this whole thing is going. I do have a value stock in here as well. I have targets. When that report came out the other day within the consumer price index, that really kind of just showed you essentially all value took a major hit yesterday, and everything was kind of just a bounce, a relief bounce, dead cat bounce. Today, it started out pretty slow, and then it kind of went fast, and then everything kind of died out in the afternoon. And then it started looking kind of reassuring towards the end of the day. You had Apple and Facebook started pushing again, but at close of bell, even Tesla was pushing. It seemed like the door slammed shut, and everything got pushed back down below that daily. So it'd be interesting if we gap up tonight. Definitely, if you're a bull, you definitely want it to gap up tonight, and hopefully we can start moving back up. Else, we might see some more selling going on. If we do get selling tomorrow, that might be a little concerning. Stuff might be getting knocked down a little bit more. So if you are in the market for investing, I would definitely say keep an eye on those good industry leader stocks that you want to buy. And this year, I think is going to be most important because you're going to want to make sure the industry leaders, because those are the ones that are going to get the money flooded to them the most, even though they might seem a little out of your price range and you think you can buy more shares for a particular stock. Definitely this year, you're going to want to make sure that it is the industry leaders because they're the ones that are going to bounce back first and foremost out of everything that is going on. So again, these are what I got, industry leaders and target. So with that being said, let's look at the market in general. Like I said, the market is one thing I want to say here is I was worried about this. I was concerned about this trend line, and today we broke back above it. So that was promising. But even on the daily, this is what's really going to matter. And what I'm kind of concerned about is typically we have the 20 EMA here on the daily, and typically I've talked about this before, but normally you'll come down into the 20, especially when you're selling off. You'll bounce, retest the 50 in the middle Bollinger Band. That normally leads to more selling. So being said, I definitely can see us selling more from this point, unless that candle somehow opens up above this tomorrow. I can just see us selling off more. Again, if you are investing, I definitely slowly buy at this point. I think eventually, at some point in this year, I think we are going to shoot back up. It really just depends on what is going on with the market. We are going through a lot of different changes, a lot of normalization, which is something I keep reiterating because it's all new. It's all new territory here. So we got to understand that and understand that the market in itself is trying to figure itself out. And ultimately, again, you got the industry leaders, so you really have to be careful. News is very sensitive right now. Still got a lot of pandemic, still got a lot of issues with the world and oil and gas. And again, there's always black swans out there that can totally dump the market completely. So that's just something to keep in mind. So it's just being patient. You can be patient. It pays ultimately. So I know even for myself, I think I've taken a couple more trades than I probably should have, especially in the shares department. Just trying to figure this out and catch this. It's definitely just being patient and see what happens. Tomorrow, I'm definitely going to take it slow. That is for sure. But QQQ, again, holding range. I talked about this last week too, that I could just see us chop and hold range. But again, on the daily, a lot of these look really bad. Wouldn't actually be surprised if we did push up on tech tomorrow. Probably primarily led by Apple and Facebook, and probably even Amazon at that point. Retest this 328 before you selling, and possibly even come back into this back into this zone here. So if we dropped back down to 303, I would not be surprised, and chop around some more before you go back to even do all-time highs again, and then come back down, chop, which is something I can actually see happening, right? I think that's what we're going to see more of. So you need to be patient, especially riding down or ride these up with stops, with tight stops, and then when they sell off, buy back in. And then your names, right? You just keep rebuying the same good names that you've done your fundamentals on. Industry leaders is what I like to go with. They're always going to lead the pack for the most part. So being said, again, that 200 EMA it's good to see this green line where I have on the daily. It's good to see that this is actually riding higher than this lower high right here. So this lower low here. So we ultimately want to stay above this section here. So we want to stay above the 298 if possible. There is, again, this consolidation here, which, I wouldn't be surprised if we hit the 309 and bounced. So that could be another possibility that we hit that and bounce from that point. So you're looking at maybe another week, you look Friday and into next week. And then from that point, we could possibly see us pushing back up to all-time highs again, which wouldn't surprise me. So we definitely want to keep an eye on that, see where everything is. I know Tesla has had a lot of bad news. Elon Musk has come out and talked negatively about crypto. In the crypto, essentially the crypto space doesn't really like that. And so Tesla has been kind of getting some negative news, especially on top of all the good news. All it takes is one bad negative news. And then you get some dramatic selling in Tesla. And Tesla's at an interesting spot here. Tesla was so bullish with all the news and the different breakouts, and then now we're actually sitting right at the 200 on the daily moving average. So if we open up below this tomorrow, Tesla will definitely be a good short, and this is what I have marked off on the green. So even on the daily, this green, which got rejected right at the 580, so that's definitely not a good side. So tomorrow, if we don't open up above this 580, I can definitely see Tesla selling off even more. Got a couple big spots here. I think if it does break this 555 one mark, I think we're going down to 508, which is a good strong possibility and something to keep in mind. So if that does happen, but we're going to definitely have to see how this plays out. Again, Tesla lead indicator, there's a lot of negative news around Elon right now. A lot of people are not really happy with Elon right now, so that's something to keep in mind. Normally when that happens, people more than likely tend to sell. Another interesting thing here too today I noticed too is I was actually, after this candle had popped back up and then shorted fast, I actually was getting in it to short it. And there was a lot of battle in between here. Premiums on the contracts actually jumped up a lot for puts at that point, and then we sold off. And then all of a sudden, everything regained its footing and then popped back up. So there is a major struggle going on here. And I really noticed it in Tesla because I was watching Tesla today, but I noticed it in a lot of other ones. But things like Apple, right? Apple did very well today, pushed up nicely and started consolidating. I wouldn't be surprised if this actually pops up tomorrow. If we go up and Qs reclaim some bullish ground here, it would definitely be from Apple and Facebook. I haven't really looked at Google, but Google doesn't move as much. Amazon moves more, but Amazon's been kind of stalled. BA was pushing up today, so I think that's what helped SPY and push the SPY up. But ultimately, Apple and Facebook will be ones to watch and ones I might be actually playing more until as long as they continue their momentum, because they've been through this whole March, like I said, and everything. They've had these nice little pops and runs. They want to pull the market back up, and Tesla was showing that. But today, Tesla actually looked weak. I think for the first time today, even though it did sell overnight yesterday, or the night before, it had that nice pop. But then now that news came out about Elon and everything yesterday, and now it's been really struggling since. It's been looking really weak since. So the money is definitely, I think, flowing in other places at this point. So Facebook is the other one. Facebook, again, holding the zone very well. I actually got tagged out of my shares in the green, but ultimately I almost jumped back in it because I saw this pushing up nicely. I thought we'd actually break, but as soon as that bell rang, it got slammed back down to the floor. So watching this 300 level again tomorrow for Facebook. If it does get back in here, I will possibly just grab calls, really depending on the market, but I'll grab calls for there will be at least be a good bounce out of here tomorrow. But ultimately understand that and be willing to cut very fast, because if this 300 gives way, Facebook can do some dropping in itself. So that's just something to definitely keep in mind. And then the last one I have for you guys here is Target. And the reason I've had this is Target and Walmart have kind of bounced back. We've had the inflation news and everything, so we've had these massive sell-offs these past couple of days, but it's reclaimed very well, very quickly. It actually looks perfect here on the hourly and even on the daily. This is why I like Target, because even on the daily, this all pending tomorrow. Right now, we are retesting from underneath the middle Bollinger Band here. And so if tomorrow we open up above this, so keep in mind if you are playing this tomorrow and you have the Bollinger Bands to check this tomorrow and see where that candle opens. If it does open above the middle Bollinger Bands here, which is sitting at 2086. So we're looking at 208. So it's already sitting above it right now. So as long as we stay above this tomorrow, Tesla might or Target might be a good play tomorrow. So a good scalp pop, possibly even run back up to the all-time highs here at 216. Attempt to at least test that tomorrow, or possibly just get a nice move tomorrow if it doesn't pop overnight. So that is something I'm looking at and something I like for tomorrow. And value, I think it's good to have a couple of value plays. I normally didn't have a lot of value plays. Only because growth was so strong that I didn't really need any value plays. But now with inflation and everything that's going on, value plays are much needed because the rotation has been quick. Even today, values popped up today while essentially tech got hit pretty bad right out of the gates, and then it switched over fast. You had these quick spikes down on value, and then the money seemed to flood back into tech really fast. And so it could be the algos. I mean, who knows? But ultimately, understand that that switch was very fast today, and there's been a lot of struggle today, and that very well could be what the algos are doing. They're trying to trade these stocks, and I guess that might have been what I saw midday with Tesla. Is that the algos were trying to determine at what point to buy and what point to sell, because there was a massive struggle at one point for a good couple of minutes. That candle, it would go green, go red, go green, go red. The premium was building like crazy on the put side, and then it actually popped a couple of dollars and then dropped several dollars from that point. So interesting to watch and see the story that's actually playing out in the current moment. So with that being said, remember, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And until next time, guys, I will see you later.